this lesson, we will be finding the volume of spheres. So our volume of a sphere formula is 4/3 pi r cubed, where r is the radius. So when you're given a sphere, you might end up with a diameter, which would be this whole segment here. It's going directly across the sphere through the center, but what we need is the radius. So anytime you're given the diameter, remember to divide by 2 to find your radius. In our first example, a soccer ball has a diameter of 23 centimeters. What is its volume rounded to the nearest tenth? So remember that if they give you the diameter, we can't use it. It does not go into the formula. We need to divide that by 2, and so we get that our radius is 11.5. Then I'm going to take my volume formula and substitute 11.5 in for r. It says that we want to round to the nearest tenth, so I type everything into my calculator and get 6,370.6 centimeters cubed. Example 2 asks, what is the volume of the sphere in terms of pi? So first notice that in my diagram, they're showing me a line that goes all the way across the sphere. So that means that's the diameter. So if my diameter is 36, what is my radius? My radius will be 18. So now I can plug that into the volume formula for a sphere. And remember that if we are solving in terms of pi, I want to put the 4/3 and the 18 cubed into my calculator, and I want to leave pi out. This way, pi is represented in my final answer of 7,776 pi, and our units are feet cubed. Number 3, the radius of a hemisphere is 20 inches. What is its volume? Round to the nearest tenth. So what exactly is a hemisphere? If you think back to social studies classes, you have an eastern hemisphere, a western hemisphere, or a northern and southern hemisphere. So it's just half of a sphere. So we're going to modify our volume formula, and we're going to include 1/2 and then times all the rest, 4/3 pi r cubed. So if my radius is 20, I can put 20 in to r, and we're rounding to the nearest tenth, so I'm going to multiply everything in my calculator. And so for my final answer, I have 16,755.2 inches cubed. Number 4, what is the length of the radius of a sphere with a volume of 36 pi? So that means in my formula, V equals 36 pi. So if I write out my formula, I'm going to replace V with 36 pi. So now I'm solving for r. My mission is to get r by itself. So everything else with r, the 4/3, the pi, they're all being multiplied with r cubed, so I need to divide them first. So 4/3 will eliminate itself on the right, and so will pi. On the left side, pi divided by pi is 1. So I'm only worrying about 36 divided by 4/3 in my calculator. Okay, 36 divided by 4/3 is 27. That's equal to r cubed. So how do I get r by itself? Now, if this is new for you, think about if you had s squared when we were talking about the pyramids. So what's the opposite of squaring something? What's the inverse operation? That would be the square root. So the same thing exists for cubes. Since I have r cubed, if I want the opposite, I need to do the inverse operation, which is taking the cube root. So the cube root looks like your square root sign with a little 3 in the front. When I take the cube root of 27 in my calculator, I get 3. And the cube root of r cubed is r. So my final answer is that the radius equals 3 centimeters.